I think a really good and easy way to think about a healer's UI is similar to like a pilot's cockpit. There's nothing in a pilot's cockpit that is completely random. Everything is placed deliberately so they can see the most important information instantaneously. And a healer's UI should function around the same kind of concept. A lot of players think that more information is always better, so they start downloading multiple add-ons, multiple aura trackers, buff trackers, cooldown displays, meters, extra bars, all these extra fancy bells and whistles. And what this actually just ends up doing is it just becomes screen clutter that starts competing for your attention. And if you're too busy looking at the unnecessary information that isn't relevant, then you're missing out on information that is important. And if your UI is messy or poorly organized, healing starts to feel more stressful than it should. Not because the content's harder, but because your brain is working overtime trying to interpret the information on your screen. When the info is clear and easy to read, healing becomes calmer and more controlled. A good UI won't make you a better player by itself, but it helps remove the friction from decision making. And placement as well is really important. Like, for example, if you use Blizzard's default UI placements, like your health bar and the enemy's health bar in the top left-hand corner. So if your eyes constantly have to keep darting up towards the top left-hand corner, they're not focused on the center of the screen where all the information is happening. You know, there's stuff happening around your feet. There's mechanics to look out for, that sort of thing. So having a clean layout just makes getting that information significantly easier. Your UI should instantaneously give you access to 4 big pieces of information. 1, who is in danger. 2, why are they in danger? 3, who has priority? And 4, what tools do I have available to answer this? And your UI is just as much a tool as your actual cooldowns are. And there's a few major components that I think every healer absolutely mandatory should have, and that's your party frames, cooldown tracking, unit frames, debuff tracking, boss timers via DBM or big wigs, nameplates, and lastly, damage meters. But we'll talk more about that later. It's not so you can see how big dick your DPS is or how big dick your healing is. It's so you can see if somebody has recently used one of their big cooldowns. And the reason that's important is because if somebody's popped cooldowns on this pack, then you know the next pack is going to die slower. Your add-ons are just a tool. They won't replace your game knowledge, and they can't help you with decision making, but they will streamline the process of your decision making. A UI is a translation layer for your brain. 2 healers can look at the same screen and process it differently. And that's why I think it is extremely important that once you have your base level set up for your UI, you have your placement established where you like everything, now you should go in and start customizing things. You know, 2 people might interpret colors differently, they might interpret icons differently, and it's very important that you go through and you set up everything to your personal preference. There's nothing wrong with going through Wago.io or, you know, an add-on pack from a Twitch streamer, but make sure that you go through and you personalize everything so the information translates to your brain better. A good personalized UI also includes removing things from the UI. Like, a good rule of thumb is, if I don't actively act on this information, it doesn't need to be on my screen. It's not something I need to track. Now, that could be, you know, certain buffs on your party frames. You know, there's certain abilities where it's kind of like, I don't care to track it. Like on Pres Evoker, I don't really care to see the heal over time effect from Verdant Embrace. So it's something that I'll probably go through and start removing off my bars as the party frames allows it. I think one of the biggest recommendations that I can give to you right off the start is not implementing 20 different add-ons with 20 different profiles all at once. Start with one element, you know, play 4 or 5 dungeons till you're happy with it, lock it in, and then move on to the next one. There's no point in overwhelming yourself unless you're already familiar with the information that these add-ons are going to provide. Then to just hammer yourself with everything. Start with one add-on, you know, set it up, personalize it, move on to the next. Your UI should feel boring when it's correct. A good healer UI should feel stable and predictable. It doesn't have to be flashy. It's not constantly drawing my eye to, you know, some blinking add-on in the top right-hand corner that I don't really care about. The best UI is the one that you stop noticing because it just quietly gives you what you need. All that being said, in the next episode, we're going to start with the most crucial part of a healer's interface, and that's going to be your party frames. If you have any questions or if you struggle along the way, just drop it in the comments down below, or feel free to add me on Discord, and I'll see if I can't help you find a solution.